Hey, welcome to Bout That Life podcast. I'm Coach C. Collins.
Coach MJ, GGT.
And we are here to talk basketball, AAU talk, and life talk, and everything in between. We are on episode 13, and thank you for those who've been supporting. Keep seeing the downloads going up, and our subscribers going up and up. It's really appreciated, and we appreciate everybody out there supporting. Got to do a few quick shout-outs in the beginning, simply because me and Mark and Ty were just talking about it. We've had a few people donating equipment to help us out with our video for the show. So we definitely want to send our thanks out to those who've been doing that. Been having a few actually subscribe on the Patreon, and that's been helping out a lot too. So again, we're going to keep trying to get this thing rolling and keep great content coming to you because, again, it's just all about getting the voice out there for everybody who, you know, wants to understand the AAU basketball world. He just wants the little information in general from a coach's perspective, a training perspective, and just, you know, it's just fun to talk about. So, again, thank you. Please subscribe as usual. You can hit us up on our Instagram, which is About That Life Podcast. You get me on personal Instagram, Hoopstar I Am. Mark, you can tell them you got your
GGT
personal.
Basketball, right. MJ24.
And remember, all the links for all of this will be in the description on the YouTube channel and on the Spotify, iTunes. All those descriptions will be here. So please, again, thank you for your support, and hopefully we bring you guys a good episode today. So we are on episode 13, right?
Lucky number 13.
Yeah, congratulations. We got enough views and enough people support that we're able to stay around a little bit. So pretty excited about that. Today's guest is actually a duo guest, which is new for us, right? This is going to be a first for us. Marcus doesn't have headphones, so he doesn't get to hear all the great sounds. But no, this should be a really good one. I get an opportunity to talk to somebody who's been doing this a long time, director of a program that's how long has your program been going?
About 6 years now.
Okay, good. So, you know, so someone who clearly understands, you know, the game, very similar to myself, but you mainly coach on the women's side, correct? Or
men and women.
Well, okay, men and women. Okay, perfect. So, and I know a couple of your coaches too, which is great. So, you know, and Mark has a great relationship with you guys. So, I definitely want to get you guys out there. So, we have John, right? Or Gene, am I saying this?
John.
Okay, John Yelpy and his son Marcus. Definitely, thank you. Welcome to the show.
Awesome.
First, let me give you guys a rundown of who they are, right? And then we'll get into the heart of everything. So, starting off, John, he has our Gene. Sorry if I keep pronouncing your name wrong.
John.
That's
okay. That's all right. It's okay.
John, he is the president and founder of West Coast Impact. It's a pretty strong and well-known AAU program. I've seen your teams play plenty of times at Hardwood, and I think they do a great job. Mainly, like I said, Taylor, since I know her, I see her coach a lot, and especially at the practices. Give you guys a quick rundown of who he is. Let's say, he says, started learning the game of basketball at age 10 in Barcelona, Spain. Moved to Puerto Rico and had an opportunity to represent Puerto Rico at youth international events. How was that growing up out there? How long did you live out there?
Amazing. Actually, I have an interesting life when it comes down to that kind of stuff. I was born in Puerto Rico. My first year after that, I was already in an airplane to Barcelona, Spain. My dad was playing professional basketball in Spain and also conducting his education over there.
Nice.
So I had a chance to, my youth, really be able to live in a country that at the time was not being, at the time was not part of the democracy. So it was almost a fascist communist country at the time, and General Franco was the power in the country. And through time, I was able to see the transition of, society really embracing freedom and embracing opportunity they can have before. And then after that, my dad graduated from University of Salamanca, Spain. I'm very proud of him. He's the first person from the continent of the United States, for the continent of America, North and South, that actually graduated with a doctorate degree in family law.
Okay.
With that, he then came to Puerto Rico, was the Attorney General of Puerto Rico. Big name in law.
Wow.
In addition to also, he had an opportunity to represent Puerto Rico internationally on basketball. So he was a person I always wanted to be, follow up on, and then live in Puerto Rico for 2 or 3 years, and then really got into basketball heavily when I was in Puerto Rico, and then eventually got me to the United States, where I had a chance to play for. Back then, it was not called prep school, but it kind of worked the same way.
Okay.
Bishop High School out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And then eventually went back to Puerto Rico, and then came back to play college in the United States. So
and I wanted to
yeah.
elaborate on that further because it says right here that you got your bachelor's of science in exercise physiology. Yeah, and which is great. I like to reiterate that a lot on the show is people actually getting their education because essentially that's what me and Mark really talk about a lot. Is you're trying to receive a discount on your education. That's the reality of why you're attending college, right? So, or why you hopefully get a scholarship. You're just trying to get that discount on your education. So I really like that. We're seeing people actually apply some of those things. And then it says you served as the assistant basketball coach at Solano Community College, right? Right. You're in the men's program and assistant varsity boys coach at Davis High School.
Right.
All right, nice. So in that, where you were pretty much around that area for a while
basically
now?
I reside in Dixon, and when we moved into the area, I was approached by certain people in the community. They kind of find out that who I was, and they said, hey, you come out and help the community and coach. I even tell my kids now to this day, when I used to play, I would tell my dad and I would tell my family and say, I would never be a coach. It's
funny
so
how that
weird.
works.
I would never be a coach. I mean, because through my life, I kept seeing how coaches kept being fired, and it was all for business reasons, not because the coach was a bad coach.
Yeah.
So I thought I don't want to go through that trip.
Yeah, of course.
And then eventually I said, you know what, I got my oldest one's not here today, but he's first starting to basketball.
Nice.
And I said, you know what, I wanted to make sure that my kids got a good foundation in the game.
Yeah.
And so we didn't really see anybody around that could do that for them. And so I started volunteering my time. And that's how I got into high school coaching and all that kind of stuff. Davis is 5 miles away from Dixon. So I had a chance to really help a very good program there for the men's side. And then that got me right into college. And then, from there I had a taste of that.
Yeah.
Back into high school again. And, so that's how I kind of started into this coaching addiction.
Right. No, that's a great way to start. I mean, and then also reading here, it says you had an opportunity to play pro overseas for a little while too.
Right.
How was that experience overall? Pretty solid. I mean,
well, it's definitely a business.
Yeah.
And it's definitely an opportunity that I worked very hard for. I didn't learn the game of basketball in this country. And I tell that to all my parents and all the players and all my friends. I learned the basketball in a different way. I learned the basketball on a way of developing a specific skill set to then pull the best skill set together to those represent a specific country. That's how basketball is being brought up or developed in Europe and everywhere else. You start thinking about it. For me, I remember when I was in Puerto Rico, we only had cable was not as big, and so we only had TNT. And I remember that they only televised the Atlanta Hawks games.
Yeah.
And so we didn't get a chance to really see the Lakers or anything like that unless they play against those folks.
Right.
So for me, I grew up watching the players from our professional league. And I grew up watching players from Spain, and that's what we saw on TV.
Yeah.
And so my goal, as soon as I saw that, I just said that's what I want to do. And my family, my uncle, my dad's uncle was in the FIBA Hall of Fame.
Wow.
And my dad, representing my country, was unbelievable player both in Europe and in Puerto Rico, and I wanted to feel that. I wanted to experience that lifestyle. So I worked hard for it. It was a big sacrifice, and had a chance to do it, and did it for about 7 years.
Nice.
And then eventually, you start getting, you start understanding. You start getting traded. New talent comes in. It's all about a business. You could be still a great asset to a team, but that's not what they're looking for. And that's where I eventually, thank God you mentioned about education, because that's where I was able to back up and say, okay, it's time to say that goodbye and go ahead and utilize the education that I work for.
Yeah, no,
That's
makes
big.
sense. And then, well, we'll obviously get into that more and more into the show, because I definitely want to talk more and more about that. And then want to talk about you, Marcus, right? Because you're here too. So, Mark, I'll lead you.
Yeah, so Marcus, like I said, when it comes to Marcus and Coach Jopey, this is a funny story that I don't really share with a lot of people. I don't know if I even told you this.
Well, share it on the internet.
Yeah,
that's
yeah. So before I even get to Marcus, right, because this is, at the end of the day, like, you can say the way of the universe, like, we're here now, where, like I said, you guys know, I'm not from this area. My wife is from Dixon. Coach Jopey is from Dixon. I'm from San Diego. And I remember when I first moved out here, before I was even really where GGT's at right now, it was during the early stages. And I remember when I was trying to get my name known first in the area and trying to do camps, I won't say any names, but there was some politics and everything like that. But I remember where I remember getting a little negativity around the area. Who's this kid from Southern California? From this Dixon, this is our town. I remember I had my posters up around Denny's. I got this GGT camp.
Right.
And I remember I get a phone call. I don't know what the number was. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, hello. And it was Coach Jopey. I didn't know. We didn't know each other yet. But he was like, the first thing that came out of his mouth was like, "Where you from? Where you at? What city are you from? What's your background?" I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute, who is this? Like, do you need sessions?" I was like, you want me to train your son? Like, who is this? Just hammer me, like, who are you? Where are you from? Where did you play at?
Nice.
So in the beginning, like I said, I was like, who are you? But as time went on, I realized, compared out of everybody who maybe didn't even want to talk to me or give me a chance, he actually just called. We talked, I remember we met up, you met my wife and everything, and you just wanted to know, like, okay, like, what's your end game? Like, like, wanted to meet me and in a way, getting to know you, I know, and maybe you kind of saw a little bit of you and me, I'm still starting up, in the passion, and that's one of the things that, I definitely consider you as a mentor, especially, like I said, coming to a small town, I don't know anybody, for you to actually pick up the phone, and be like, who are you, this and that, that gave me a lot of respect for you, and then from there, as I was building the community, I meet his son, and with Marcus, where he's at right now, he's
You're track and field, right?
Track, yeah. I know you said, he's a number 6 in the country, when it comes to high jump, what I'm saying? He's an All-American. I know you've been traveling a lot. You got your name, a lot of D1s, want him for what he does, on the track and field. But at the end of the day, what a lot of people don't know is, when I met him, he was making that crossover from not playing any sports to now playing basketball, and that's where it started. Before the track and field was, training him and working with him. He's a late bloomer, physically, what I'm saying? I think when I first met you, you weren't, you're like 6'4" now, and you was maybe like 5'11", 5'10", skinny. You're still skinny, actually. But athletic ability, jumps out the gym. You know what I'm saying? And I remember when we had that span where we were just, working, because at the end of the day, he does come from a basketball background family. His dad was bred for this. So for him, to him and his family to trust me to work with Marcus, during a time where he started getting more focused, what I'm saying? I'm really privileged, because like I said, Jopey is, I know your background and who you are, the game. So for them to let me work with Marcus, and like I said, there was a good span. I remember you even got because you didn't start playing basketball till your junior year serious at Dixon.
Yep.
You know, remember your junior year, just blocking shots, you know what I'm saying? No handles, no jumper, you know, just rebounds and blocking shots to your senior year where, okay, double doubles, all tournament team, you know, he got all tournament team one
Hey,
time.
you can make a career rebounding and blocking shots.
Right. But the jumper was starting to hit. You know, I had him in the gym. I had him in the gym with MJ for one point for 1 month straight. We were in the gym, and it just shows with hard work, you know what I'm saying, and consistency where that took him. But then the whole track thing, he's just so dominant. You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous to where he's, like I said, he's what I think now you're about to. I know. What is it? You got to get to 7 foot to or 6'11" to what to be ranked higher than what you are now, or how does that work?
6'10" really be ranked higher than what I am right now.
Who's number one? What is
7'1"?
Okay,
But that's
you
not
know
a
you can
problem.
get that.
Yeah, I fool around with stuff like that in practice. Like,
Oh,
it's not a
okay.
problem to me. I just it's kind of like dunking in practices and like open gyms and just go out to the game and do it. Like I know I could do it. I just got to get my opportunity.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Very-
that's amazing. And I know what, of course, you also you got invited, right? Team USA on
Sir, Team
U19.
Nice.
20.
U20.
So I got 2 years of it. Yeah.
Wow.
Team
That's big
USA.
time.
Yeah,
That's
get
big
to
time.
travel to Africa, everything.
Wow.
Pay
That'll be-
tickets.
That'll be
First
an
class,
amazing
all the good
experience.
stuff.
That will be
Yeah.
an amazing experience for sure
I know.
for
It
you.
is. It is.
I've always wanted to like get out of the country. I mean, I've been to Puerto Rico, but like before this whole track thing, that's the only place I've been. Like California, Puerto Rico, like
Yeah.
really just where there's family. But now track, I've been Alabama, Texas. Like
Nice.
I'm getting ready to leave. I'm
Hey.
ready to go see what else is out there, man.
Well, definitely, welcome both of you to the show. Let's get you the audience applauding, So, no, thank you for
Because the
being here.
bubbles,
We
because the
appreciate you guys being here. So, let's get right into it, right? Let's ask a couple of our questions, right? This is for you, Coach. How long have you been doing AAU? Kind of what have you learned between coaching men and women? Because, again, my experience, it is a difference, right? You know what I mean? And we'll probably talk more about those differences. Also, kind of reflect on maybe your differences between coaching school ball and AAU ball too, and we'll go from there. So,
Okay, AAU and me, 18 years now, all together. I had an opportunity to start helping as a regular coach at a basketball club to become a board member of that club. On the boys' side, I think what taught me everything of how this game is played, this business is run, I had to do through the Wildcats organization, NorCal Wildcats, which at one time started from being a combination of two different towns, and developed into a powerhouse for high school, where at one time, about 4 to 5 or 6 years ago, we had amazing players. Marquise Chris. We had
Josh Jackson.
athletes, Joe Jackson. We were a nationally ranked AAU program.
nice.
And through through those years, I learned the ins and out of and if what not to do and what to do in the future that I think will work or not work. And what I did is I basically implemented that into a girls basketball club.
Nice.
And what I would tell people is AAU, I would look at two business models. And none of the business models are wrong. I want people to understand that. The first business model is you have a club that may have a lot of kids, and they're giving a lot of kids the opportunity to play. They may have a very elite high school program. They're looking for boys and girls to be able to showcase them at NCAA, showcase events.
Yeah.
Their focus is to get them exposure, okay, and go out to national tournaments and be able to do that. And not necessarily they need to spend too much time on teaching the game.
Yeah.
They already got players that are pretty good.
Right.
Okay. Then there's the other business model. The other business model is focusing that same mindset and put it into just a few group of kids and be able to develop those kids realistically. I think where people, I think, and definitely around this area, when I talk to parents and I talk to other teams and club directors and so on, realistic expectations is what I learned from trying to do this. When I select a girl, or in the past I select a boy, I sat down with the parents. I always still do it to this day, and give them a realistic expectation of how it's going to go.
Good.
This is not, and a lot of coaches and clubs fail to do that. And I think that's where you see the misunderstandings from the parents and the kids. And that causes them kids to jump ship and talk bad about your club.
Right.
When in fact, you didn't have a bad club. You just didn't set the realistic expectations.
Right.
And so, to me, West Coast Impact, it's a journey. It's not a come in and play, quick fix, let's go hop another team.
Right.
There are teams that do that, and I think that's great. I don't have anything against it. We're just not that model per se. First of all, we don't live in this area that have so many kids. Although we have kids come from other areas, we focus more on trying to realistically tell this girl or a boy, this is where we believe you could be heading, and this is a step process to do that. Your first year, you might want to come in and you're probably thinking, well, I want to play the whole entire game.
Of course.
And the
Every
parents
kid.
and the parents want to do that
Right.
to happen because you're paying to play,
Right.
right? So why not? But it is the duty of a director of that club or the coach of that specific team to really sit down with those parents and tell them, look, your first year is going to be playing time is going to be limited. That does not mean that you're not going to get better. The mindset in the United States about basketball and youth sports is the game, it's all. What they don't get, it's not the game, it's the practices.
Yeah.
It's how you do the practices. It's how you do the skill development. A kid is going to be able to go ahead and take and work on their move 100 times in a practice. In the game, even if that person starts, it's going to be able to take that shot probably 5 times in the game.
Yeah.
So when you start really thinking about it, it is my focus that I tell the parents and the kids is your focus here to excel and improve at practice. The game is gravy. The people that believe on that are the ones that you tend to see improving. And the parents that have been, with the club for a long time have seen that happen. So I'm not in the business. And again, some businesses may want to get the very good elite players and have them roll the ball, press the whole tire during the game, and let's meet you in Arizona.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
In our sense, we want to go ahead and teach the kids what they potentially going to be facing in high school. Not everyone, even though we all want to, are going to be able to play in college.
Yeah.
So this dream about telling people, oh, you're going to come to this program, you're going to play in college, that's what gets me a little upset when it comes down to
a slippery
directors.
slope.
It's because they're really telling the parents, things that they just want to hear. And that's not realistic.
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, the journey comes into perhaps developing that player to be the best high school player they can be. And then we happen to have an avenue that we can go ahead and say, hey, if you want to go to college, we can work with you on that. So you asking me about AAU and what people should be hearing is they got to understand the two business models.
Right.
And again, I will emphasize, because I'm very good friends with a lot of directors that I have a lot of respect. Ken G, he and I go way back.
Yeah.
Way back. Great
Ken's
guy.
been doing this a long time.
Yeah, great. He and I some of the kids, we laugh sometimes because we see some of the kids, we were coaching against each other, and now these kids are like almost getting married. It's like crazy. But Sean Chambers, I had a chance to play with Sean, in the NBA programs, and he went overseas this way, went overseas that way. Sean's got a great business model when it comes to that. My business model is just a little bit different. That's it. And so, I think what the rest of what I'm hoping is that the other clubs and other directors will spend more time with their parents as, putting the realistic expectations. And I think that solves a lot of problems right from the beginning. I'm very good at bringing people back to memory lane.
Yeah.
Let
No,
them know-
I agree
let
with
them
you.
know,
I
hey,
totally agree
remember
with you.
when I told you
Yeah.
that your daughter was only going to play 5 minutes a game?
Yeah.
Okay, that was like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. No, you set the tone early. No, that's good. So what would you say are some of the fundamental differences between school and AAU ball?
Absolutely. Okay, so what I will tell you is I had the opportunity to play high school in the East Coast and the West Coast. I will look at the country as approaching high school sports differently. In the East Coast, the coaching, the support is true, knowledgeable people that have been very experienced in the sport. And whatever you're in a public school or whatever you're in a private school, you're going to see coaches that perhaps have college experience that wanted to just coach high school.
Yeah.
When you take that to the West Coast, okay, it's a different mindset, way different. You have high schools that basically are private, and their coaching staff is ridiculously good. I mean, they have college coaches. I mean, Marta Day,
Yeah.
I mean, Bishop O'Dial.
Oh,
I can
yeah,
go
yeah,
on
absolutely.
and on and on.
Yeah.
You know, Archbishop Mitty. You know, women's
Yeah,
basketball, for goodness sake. Like
absolutely. And they're incredible.
USA U20 women's basketball
Yeah,
coach. I mean, you know,
absolutely.
you can't go wrong with that. But then you start seeing, what I'm saying is, like, you start seeing a change when it comes down to regular public schools. And that's where most of our kids are going to. So there's been a lot of coaches that have been able to put their time and effort on building a program at a high school level, public high school level, doing a very, very good job, and doing it for hardly no money. That's how they love of it.
Yeah.
Okay. They don't happen to be part of that staff or educational staff, teaching staff. They're not part of the union of the school district. And all it takes, really, just by that, is the math teacher to raise his hand and says, I want that job now. So what that has done through history is really take the interest from people like myself and others to really put time and become head coaches of an organization in high school, because you build it, and
then they can just boot you out.
you're not part of the school district, so you don't have really no defense to where a parent complaining or anything like that, and then it's easy to get rid of you.
Right.
So you asking about the differences between high school and
AAU.
club sports. The other difference is, I believe a lot of schools believe that, and their kids believe that playing is a right and not a privilege. And just because you're in 10th grade, you're gonna make the varsity team.
Right.
And if not, if you didn't play Susie or Bobby so many minutes a game, then they're going to go right behind you and tell the AD about it. Then you're going to ask the AD, well, tell me who's talking to me about it.
Right.
And the AD is not going to tell you.
Yeah.
And so all this, it's a different mindset. It was actually, I will remember this. It was actually one of the directors of the Wildcats organization, George Souza, that actually mentioned to me years ago, what are you trying to go into high school for? What are you trying to, and I just wanted to really feel that. I wanted to feel the band, right? I wanted to get the kids and win a section championship,
Right.
things like that.
Right.
And, so I didn't listen. But then through time, I learned. And not just only, there's a lot of good coaches that are right now currently coaching club basketball that could be really turning programs around, but it's just the support on the high school level for those individuals is not there.
Good.
It's unfortunately for most schools, it's not.
I'm glad you talked about that because I coached JV high school at Whitney.
Okay, yeah.
And I've been a high school coach, so I'm in both worlds. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And then obviously I've taken more of a directorial role from Ken G. That's why you barely see Ken around anymore, because
Right.
he's all into his
gone.
real estate thing, you know. Like
know.
he's
He hit me
all
on
into
Facebook
that.
already.
Yeah, exactly. He's a real estate agent now. So he's kind of like, he's like, Chris, you and Eric, y'all take YBA and do your thing. So it's like being in this seat, I've seen kind of exactly what you're talking about. I love that you brought that up. The support is way different. You know what I mean? And obviously when you're your own club, and it's funny because I always just kind of joke. I say buying the jerseys is the easiest part of the job because everybody wants to start a club. There's like 10,000 clubs out here now, right? And
Right.
programs. I'm like, and buying the jerseys is the easiest part. They don't know it really takes a lot of work to make all this happen. But the benefit is you do basically call your own shots. You endorse your own business model yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to deal with the politics of schools and unions and boosters and all that, and that's a part of like why, like my varsity coach, Nick, has said to me, he's like, man, when are you ready to be a varsity coach? Like, I think you're the next guy in line. Like, I was like, no. I was like, I can't. I'm just not diplomatic enough. I just know myself. I'm not. And he's seen me coach enough. I'm not the most diplomatic guy if it's gonna come down to that type of stuff. But that's why I like the balance between both. You know what I mean? So, no, I'm really glad you touched on that. Second thing I want to talk about.
Yeah. So I mean, changing gears because with Chris, and that's why I knew it was big having you on the show. You guys are the AU guys, and I've been,
I try
learning.
I'm learning from these guys. I'm learning from these guys.
Yeah, and I know with Coach, I've been learning from you, and I've been definitely learning from Chris. So on my side of it, I always, I like to look at the player development side, because of course that's what I do. And I have a 2-part question. First question for you is more of, and we've had plenty conversations about this because I have certain kids where I'm like, okay, what does it take? What is it? And I'm learning, like, what does it take? Where we talk about the other kids. Okay, you're being realistic that maybe they can only be the best high school player they can be. How do you know? Because I know, like you said, you've been around Josh Jackson, Marquise Chris, these NBA guys, these kids. They first started at a level, high school level, right? Where I'm working with some kids where. What does it take because I got a lot of kids who listen to this, what does it take for a player to play beyond college? Like, what is it that makes, there's only, whether it's NBA with the 450 jobs to like us, right, playing overseas and finding a club team and everything like that, because everybody talks about it like, ooh, if I don't make them, I'm gonna play overseas, or and they think it's
easy.
You know what I'm saying?
They think it's so easy.
From your experience, like, what does it take, to get there?
I will summarize on this. Realistically, the best way that I can phrase it is realistically understanding the amount of sacrifice you got to put into it. Mm-hmm. People understand that there's sacrifice with it. They don't have a realistic expectation of what that sacrifice entails. Mm-hmm. So, first of all, before I go any farther answering your question, Mark, I think very highly of you. Thank you. I think very highly of a lot of trainers that you associate Bracey. Mm-hmm. Bracey played for me. Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Bracey, Team Rampage.
Shout out to Bracey.
Shout out Bracey.
Of course.
Yeah. Here's what happens. Okay. Professional basketball is not just U.S. Mm-hmm. It's the world.
Yeah.
So let's elaborate on that for a second. You, and I've been watching you, and other trainers have been very heavily affected by this COVID-19 situation. Mm-hmm. Okay. Some people have chosen to say, okay, I'm just going to sit out and wait.
Yeah.
And some of the people say, I'm going to attack the problem. How do you attack the problem was relying on getting the kids to come out at 6 o'clock in the morning at an outside gym, outside playground, not minding any kind of weather condition, whatever is super hot,
fires,
fires, and so on.
Yeah.
Really driving pretty far to meet you. Mm-hmm. You getting up, setting all that stuff up every single morning, going back to the same playground later on that day, working with kids every single time. So the question is this: how is that kid feeling about that? Because here's reality. I personally feel that a lot of the kids in the United States, at least in California, where I live most of my life now, are very spoiled. They actually have facilities like YBA's facility and Hardwood Palace. High school gyms are just amazing. I mean, you have facilities they go into in LA and they play, and there's 50 courts in one. I mean,
Yeah.
air conditioning. I mean, so you're going like, okay, so how the kids from Haiti do it? How the kids from Dominican Republic do it? How the kids from Puerto Rico do it? Okay, let me go farther down. How the kids from South Africa do it? How the kids from Brazil do it?
Yeah.
Where they have to go for, first of all the tournaments are outside.
Yeah.
That's number one. Okay, so you want a kid that is spending so much time outside with the wind blowing is going to be a heck of a good shooter. They keep shooting.
Yeah.
But they're going to go into a gym. I remember, Mark, when I first got to this country, and I remember the first time I had a chance to represent the YMCA from Puerto Rico and went to Indianapolis on a tour. And I saw a hardwood floor.
And I'm pretty sure that amazed you.
Right.
And my first fear was I thought I'm gonna slip through here. Like what this is I don't feel the traction.
Right.
So I was so used to feeling asphalt.
Damn.
So, and then I saw how bouncy it was.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then the dream ended after 2 weeks. We had to go back, right? So I mean, the thing is people don't get it that when you see these European athletes and you see these people literally taking American basketball spots at the professional level, you go really far back and you're wondering, what have they done? What realistic expectations they went through? And that's really what it takes.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the reality is this: if you ask me, I miss my senior prom. If you ask me, I didn't really go to too many dances. I didn't really, care too much about socializing when I was in high school.
Yeah.
I had a mindset. I knew what I need to do. And I knew I needed to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go to that strong heat in Puerto Rico with humidity and go in and try to get my shots in because my goal was I needed to do this. When I got to the United States, believe it or not, basketball became easy for me.
Wow.
Because I'm going like, what the heck? I'm in a hardwood floor, indoor facility with air conditioning, and I get free gear.
Nice.
Oh my goodness, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were asking the question about what is it that it takes for a kid to be at the next level.
Yeah.
It takes a realistic understanding of the sacrifice they need to do. And when you start seeing kids, coming out and practice and training with you, and others. I see Bracy out there, in Vallejo doing the same thing too. And you see the same kid coming in every single time. Every single time. He might not be 6'9", he might not be 6'10", but he's definitely go to a higher level than the other kid that is waiting to make sure that the school opens the gym during COVID-19. So that really, the rest, a lot of it is luck.
Yeah.
A lot of
I
it is
agree
luck
with that.
because kids got to understand it's all about being in most cases at the right time, the right place, and what the organizations are needing. A lot of people kids go like, wow, what the heck? This is gonna be great. I'm gonna go play in the next level. First of all, I saw your expression when you were saying about going overseas.
Yeah.
I get kids talking to me all the time about, Coach, can you hook me up in Puerto Rico overseas?
They don't
know.
I played in Dominican Republic. That's why when you mentioned that,
So-
it's like I know exactly what you're talking about.
And so, you got to understand, players that are in overseas right now at the Division I level, those are players that are fighting for an eight spot at the NBA team.
Yes.
And now you got these leagues that are paying these kids way more money than when the NBA is paying them, which that's why you haven't heard of them.
Yeah.
And, so kids back then when I played, we were like the pioneers of like trying to get to the pros in the United States, right? You got one guy, Marcellinus, and all those guys, they make it in the NBA. You're good, okay? Wow, they represent. But now you got hundreds of Marcellinus, coming in and playing, and then I love it when the New York Knicks always look at the draft and they start booing for that foreigner they got, and then they find him in Dallas.
Right.
So it is. I think they need to understand that right now, going overseas is just as competitive
Yes.
as being
Totally agree with you.
in for an NBA spot. And let's get the developmental league out of the way, because a lot of people think, well, you're in the developmental league, you can play anywhere. No, incorrect.
Yeah.
You're in the developmental league. You're in the developmental league of that specific team.
Yeah.
in the NBA, it doesn't mean that Real Madrid wants you.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that Barcelona wants you.
Yep.
Or that
Right.
Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. You know, so those are guys that, those are organizations that they have also the same amount of money that most NBA teams have. Yeah. They just pay you differently.
Yes.
And, you know, they give you free agencies after a year and so on. So, that's that to answer that question, you know, that's what I think it would take for a kid to go to the next level on the pro level. And look, you know, so.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's big. That's a lot of knowledge right there. My second question, you know, because I see Marcus over here looking like he about to go to sleep.
Not even. Not even
I know. You know, because I know right now, you know, his future is bright when it comes to track, and you know, I've been like, we still talk till this day. You know, we always chat, and I'm like, bro, Olympics, like that's you maximizing your God-given talent. During that span, coming as a father, a person who played basketball, and like I said with Marcus, it was fun. It was a great journey when we were working together. What were some of the differences that you seen, you know, before he started really getting into the track side, when we were going into that basketball journey? You know, what were some of the differences that you seen from him, just more from a maturity, mental standpoint? Compared. Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm being
There you go.
honest.
That's good. That's a nice profound answer.
And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to tell you why. I mean, I'm not afraid to give people the prep that they deserve. Here's what happens. When you have someone that gets a kid and change their mindset toward utilizing athletics and be able to be successful in life, to me, that's the best trainer you can be. Okay? And that's what you did with Marcus. You know, so reality is, you know, Marcus met you, and through basketball, you develop something that is missing quite often now these days, which is structure.
Yeah.
Kids need to have structure. They need to know that they need to get up in the morning and aspire for a goal. Whatever his goal was, to score 20 points with the high school team, or whatever his goal was to make it to JUCO or college in basketball. What happened with that was a process that he knew that in order for him to be able to aspire and put together all that effort that he's putting with you, he had to perform in the classroom.
Yeah.
And when you perform in the classroom, now you have a balance. And guess what? When you perform in the bathroom, excuse me, did I say bathroom?
We know too many classroom.
Perform in the classroom and the bathroom.
That's that. I told you, that's the accent thing. When you perform in the classroom and you perform athletically, you're a cool kid to be around with.
Yeah.
So what you have done for Marcus through basketball is change his life. So when it comes down to trainers out there, you know, and I used to be one before I got into the coaching.
Right.
You know, I spent the 8 hours just like all you guys do. Right now, I can't. My body doesn't give me that privilege. But when I see people, you know, Marcus was not a 5-star, you know, basketball, you know, ranked top athlete in the country. You picked Marcus and said, I'm going to teach you the game the best way I can, but with the hopes that you follow it, but also with the hopes that you understand that academics got to go with it. And with that said, he became dedicated and focused. And it happens to be that Marcus had a gift on track and field that we turned to realize that it happened because we allow him to do other sports. But it wouldn't happen, it wouldn't gotten there if it wasn't because he met you.
Yeah,
So,
I want to touch on that too, because
That's deep.
it's like, it's real. Like, you know, we met with Mark and everything. we start training, going hard, and I'm like, okay, like, yeah, maybe half my shots aren't falling, but a week ago I was making 3 shots, like missing everything. I'm like, I see a progress, and you kept talking to me, you know, we gonna make the varsity team. We gonna start. We gonna get all tourney. We gonna do all this, send all these goals, and I'm like,
speak it to existence.
I'm like, I don't even got grades. Like, I'm not gonna make the team if I can't even got grades for it. So I'm like, okay, I gotta put my head down so that I get more opportunities to train with Mark, like, so I can feel better. Like, so boom, I got that down. I got my grades. because training from you, you know, telling me all these goals I got to set, like, really motivated me. And then from the grades, it gave me opportunities to play the other sports too and, like, find myself more, like, so it was like training with you really helped me find myself. And then I ended up trying track, and it was just a pop from there. But definitely, like, nothing would have happened if it wasn't Mark, like, spitting those goals into my head. And that's what I love most about him too. He's like, he'll tell you something, and like a goal, like, okay, we gonna get you D1. And you're like, all right, like, cool, like, do this. And then he's like, but you got to come with me at 6 in the morning, 12 in the afternoon, 4 p.m. at night if you want to do it. And it's the kids that really do that with him. And, you know, Mark's an easy man to trust because he knows what he's talking about. He'll really get you there if you work with him. Like, it's true.
I mean, to me, at the end of the day, like I said, working with Marcus and learning from Coach Jopie, it's if you have a passion for something, I feel like it's easy. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of the kids who don't understand that they talk and they say, you know, all these things, but they don't actually show it. You know what I'm saying? And so to me, you know, to see where you're at now, I'm very proud, of course, you know what I'm saying? But like I was there day one. I remember, you know what I'm saying? The ups and downs, and even sometimes thinking like, I don't know, bro. You know, just like there was always the inconsistency to the point where something just clicked. And it just kept rising and rising. So yeah, man. Like I said, I'm proud of you. I'm definitely happy that I've met you guys. But I definitely see I've been saying it since day one. Even whether it's basketball, track, or even if it's entertainment, like you gonna be somebody. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that I've always noticed about you. So.
And I wanted to lead more into talking to you more, Marcus. Now, you know, your dad has said some great stuff, but we're going to focus on you right now. No, I wanted to, because I'm a fan of track. I used to do track myself. My brother actually was a dual sport athlete too, and went to Warner Pacific for basketball and track in Oregon. So you're definitely around the right company, right? Like I did high jump, triple jump, long jump. He did the same high jump. My boy Nealon Greenwood went to Washington. When I was at Sac City, he was like, our track team was like killing that year, and he ended up being like one of the top in the nation. Like, could have probably gone to the Olympics. Like, he was approached to, but then, you know, he became a family man and became a police officer. So shout out to Nealon for that. But I'm just saying, like, I'm a huge fan. I wanted to just ask you a couple quick questions about that. Like, you know, but with the combination of basketball and track, how has that impacted your life? And, you know, what is kind of your preparation methods before you compete and things like that? Like, what is your mindset, or, you know, what is your focus when you're getting ready?
So I'd say towards the preparation is definitely the hours put into it. We go, 6 days a week now, 2.5 hours a day.
Nice.
And then it was Mark at the start telling me, like, you got to do stuff at home. What I do for you, even if I'm going 2 times a day, what I do for you is not going to get you to where you want to be. And it didn't click till I started doing track and feeling confident with it. But, man, and diet and stuff, too. Mark put me on that, everything. So
no more Taco Bell?
I haven't had Taco Bell in over a year. I'm going to put that out there.
Hey, 1 year, no Taco Bell?
He still sneaks it in a little bit.
Nah. He lying. But yeah, definitely the hours put into it. That's got to be it, because you come home sore as hell, and then you realize 2 hours later you're at home, you're not doing nothing. Like, okay, I can get up, jump rope 15 minutes, you know, do 150 sit-ups.
Well, that's good, because how old are you?
I'm 18.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Our youth listeners, because we do have kids who listen to this too, they need to hear your side. They need to hear from someone who's actively doing it right now. So that's why, definitely. Please keep talking, keep going.
Yeah, because it's like high school wise, I was motivated. I was like, okay, I'm ready to hoop, ready to do track, all this, but I wasn't putting in the work. I was just going off basically what Mark called the God-given talent. You know, I could jump. I love jumping. I love dunking. I love jumping over a bar. Like, I could do this, but in reality, I wasn't seeing myself get better until I really started doing the extra stuff on my own, not just going to the park and putting up shots with Mark, or, you know, going to my track practices. Like, I'd have to do stuff at home. My extra stuff, everything. The diet changed everything.
Good.
I didn't know a diet would change it like that.
It does. What you put in your body matters.
Yeah.
When we're all, we all older, so it's different. But when we were your age, we all thought we were invincible. Then you start to realize, like, you know, as you get older, like, oh shit, I should have done some things the right way. So it's good you looked on that early. Trust me.
I know. That's what I'm grateful finding stuff out so young. Even though I'm like late to it, I still feel like I'm grateful to find these things out young, like before it's too late. Like it's late, but not too late. I know I still got time to.
You got a lot of time.
What
You
I
ain't
got,
even
yeah.
21 yet.
Exactly.
You're not even in your prime yet. It's better that you understand this. That's why, like I said, that's why I always was with everybody, and especially you, you know what I'm saying, just drilling that mindset.
Yeah.
So whenever it did click, you know, you're 18, so 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Like, you're not even close to what you can become if you stay consistent. And so, of course, I feel like it gets to a point where it becomes an addiction when you start seeing results and you start seeing success, where you're like, why am I going to go back to that? You know what I'm saying? And I'm seeing that with you, where a lot of kids, like I said, it's the majority of kids who don't do enough that start like, oh, well, you know, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I make it? And to me, I feel like it's an easy equation. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
No, and then also I wanted to ask you guys kind of a double question before we lead into more of the current events and just talking about random stuff, right? But because we're gonna have a really good, unique situation here, having a coach, ex-pro athlete dad with his son. You know what I mean? And I mean, well, first, did you ever like coach him in basketball at any point, or was it kind of?
So I did.
Okay.
I did a little bit when he was very little.
Okay.
But then, you know, started like let other people coach him.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what, because the reality is, and you know this as well as I do, most AAU clubs start but daddy ball, right? That's the thing, right? That the term you hear a lot. It's usually a couple of dads that are like, hey, my son's pretty good, your son's pretty good, let's put them together and get some pieces around
Almost
them,
in
right?
Papa's club.
Yeah. So that's, I kind of wanted to touch that, since that's a big prevalent thing in the AAU world, and hear your perspective and your perspective a little bit. How was that overall? Like, you know, him coaching, or, you know, you growing up with a dad who knows a game, who knows sports, who knows, because again, basketball is a transferable thing. If you played pro basketball, if you play collegiate basketball, you just know as an athlete what it takes to be an athlete, right? Regardless of now you're pursuing track, he still has an understanding of like, this is what it's going to take for you to be your very best at track, period, no matter what sport you choose, right? Let's say you chose football. It doesn't matter. He still would understand or have some conceptualize of it. And, of course, I'm pretty sure you've had your days where you both don't agree, and you've had your days where you both agree. I'm just curious on both your guys' perspective on how was that for you guys?
It was good. You know, it definitely taught me a lot about, like, grind. Like, put your head down.
Yeah.
You got to get to work to get where you want to be, because my dad used to have me, my brother, and my sister. He got us little basketballs. We were, like 5 years old. Every night we had to put up, like, laying in the back of our bed. We had to shoot our little jump shots. All that. We had to grab the tennis ball, do hand-eye coordinations at such a young age. But it's like, it's good. It taught me, like, I got to be able to put my head down in certain situations and grind it out. You know, there may be another person who could jump higher than me, shoot better than me naturally, but if I'm going to put in the work, then I'm going to get where I got to get, and that's kind of where I got that from him. But if you want to touch on the daddy ball thing, it's not – I don't think he agrees with that, because nobody noticed, but I was on my dad's AAU team, and I was on the B team for like 3 years straight on the bench.
So he was a realistic dad. That's the difference.
he's
That's
like,
the difference. Because there's a few dads out there, my kid's amazing.
Starting.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Keeping it 100.
Nah, for real, yeah, and I'm grateful for situations like that, like knowing that it wasn't just handed to me, that I had to get it, you know?
Nice.
And it brings me to realization that people are better than me. People were better than me at the time. That's why they were starting over me. And, like, you know, I'm just happy I got to experience that, because I know a lot of people nowadays, they get their feelings hurt when stuff like that happens. And,
That's
you know,
true.
I love that.
Yeah.
What about you, Dad? How's that, watching that progression for your son?
No, so it was good to hear that from him, and I did the same thing with my daughter, and, you know, same thing with my oldest one, Stefan. What I would like to tell parents, though, is that if you are going to spend time with your kids and be able to coach him at a specific youth sport, you got to work really hard, make sure the kids understand that when the game goes on, you are a coach and not a dad. I think a lot of parents that want to coach their kids, which, by the way, I'm going to be I would like to be frank with every parent out here listening. Okay, it is super healthy to coach your kids.
Good.
They got to understand that. It's not a law against it. Okay, it is because it's time that you're going to spend with your child that eventually, as they get older, you may not have anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's got to be a balance with that.
Right.
Okay, there's got to be a balance with that, and the balance is like you got to make sure that your kids understand that when you are in the court, you are a coach. You're not a parent. I coach my oldest one in high school, and what also needs to be communicated with the child is that the expectations for them are going to be more than what they are for everybody else, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah.
It's just no other way around it. Your kid must lead by example for others to follow, because just the image alone of the kid being the coach's son or the coach's daughter, it's going to cause some issues with other parents.
Of course.
So as long as the kid understands that, and as long as that's what, Marcus says, Team B, I was looking at Marcus in the process of development. What's where he's going to get more playing time.
Right.
The status quo was to be in Team A.
Of course.
But he learned early on time that that's not basically what this is about.
Yes.
Some parents, I see them all the time. You and I, we see this hardwood palace stuff every weekend. You see how many parents are coaching their kids,
Yeah,
and
all
how
the
many
time.
kids are playing all the time.
Yeah.
And it's even in high school, it happens sometimes
Yeah.
too. I mean, it's just always very controversial. So my advice is try to have a balance, but then there's got to be a time as the kid gets older that you just got to trust and separate yourself from what you're doing for that kid. Support that kid in a different way. I will explain this with my daughter, okay? And she's not here right now, Sydney, but Sydney is a very successful student at Sac State, okay? Sophomore year, she's killing in grades. Sydney was the reason when West Coast Impact got started.
Oh, nice.
So basically, I was with the Walkers organization. They didn't really spend too much time with girls. I had my experience with a top-notch AAU boys program, and I just said, you know what, let's do the same thing for girls. And we departed from the Wildcats organization and did something, because there was a lot of girls that wanted to go on and play high school AAU, which the Wildcats didn't have. The more time I try to really spend time with Sydney and work with Sydney, all that kind of stuff, it comes a time where the child basically says, okay, look, I need to have my own privacy. I need to have my own coach. Dad, I like you. It's great what you did for me, but I gotta break
You
apart.
hear a different voice,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
It's interesting. Parents, listen to this, because this is a true fact. I was an assistant coach at Dixon High School girls basketball, trying to donate my time there. And my daughter's senior year. And I'm really excited about it because the school's got a great team. And I'm thinking, man, I'm going to be behind I'm going to be the assistant coach helping with the X and O's and all that kind of stuff. We might get a successful time here. And then my daughter, before the first practice, grabbed a chair, put it right next to my coach, Coach Gilliard. Never forget this. And he put another chair right next. He asked me to sit down. She stood up and said, Dad, I love you. But guess what? You're not my coach this year.
Shit. Damn.
That
Okay.
didn't settle well at home, though. I'll tell you that.
And my assistant coach,
Damn.
my assistant coach, my head coach, looked at Sydney going like, well, I was counting on your dad for,
Damn.
I appreciate everything my dad has done. But it's time for me to do this, and I don't want to have my dad on the bench. You got to respect that.
Yeah.
You got to respect that. You got to go with it. You got to understand it. And, in life, you learn this kind of things. I wish I could have done that sooner with Sydney. Okay? And definitely sooner with Steph. But it's got to be understood that, yeah, a lot of AAU teams are being built right now with the intention that the parent wanted was best for their kids, because they even don't know, or don't know how to trust other people that can do the same job for them.
Yes.
So you see a lot of mamas and papas teams from the street and neighborhood. put
Mom and Dad
together,
Elite.
Mom and
That's
Dad
what I
Elite,
call them. Mom and
and
Dad
Elite. and it's so good. And for the record, they're putting a lot of time and effort
Yes,
on their kids.
absolutely. And I'm all for
But
that.
they don't know what it goes with that baggage. And I think they should understand that. From experience, I will tell you that if I would have done it all over again, I would have definitely had my kids in a club that I probably direct and will never coach them. and that's because I will coach them in the early stages, but kind of depart away after that. So that's my opinion on that. But I think
that's
you
great.
can agree.
Yeah,
when we see all these
absolutely
AAU teams out there,
Yeah.
mamas and papas, and they fold, and the same girl keeps taking the same shots.
Yes.
and the,
Yes.
and the other girls are just going like, okay, it's not going to last for too long.
Exactly. Yeah, and I totally agree with you on that. Well, no, this is all great stuff. Well, switching gears a little bit, let's talk current events, right? Current events of just what's going on in life and everything else. First, we're going to start with the NBA. Different little stuff locally. The Kings signed Whiteside.
Going back.
Yeah.
Back to Sacramento.
Yeah, exactly. So, good for them. And this is just kind of a proclamation, I believe, because I was watching the news about how the Knicks have kind of pulled away from Westbrook because I think it's the contract more than anything. And then also, Westbrook is just a hard character to necessarily fit. But you know what? I think and again, this is just my opinion, I think the Kings should go after Westbrook. And the reason being is not for a championship. It's for viewership. I'll be honest with you.
I said this. I DM'd somebody who posted something about Hassan Whiteside coming back, and I was like, they need to get Westbrook too.
You
Yeah.
said that?
Yeah, I swear to God, I got it in my Instagram.
Because
DMs, and he was like,
imagine
nah,
him
we
and
got
De'Aaron Fox. I mean,
Yeah,
that
exactly.
front court, would be fast as shit and athletic and stuff. But again, are you gonna get an NBA championship with that? Probably not. But but when
playoffs.
people watch, they'll
Keep it
watch.
relevant.
You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of on that one. And then the other thing was the Montrezl Harrell thing. I want to talk about that one.
Yeah.
So someone on social media
funny.
called out Montrezl Harrell. Let me get it right because I put the guy's information. His name's and he's a Lakers fan. Lakers fan over here. So got to talk about it. It was with
Back to back.
Antonio Cortez. His IG is Cali King. Cali _King 323. On April 2019, he DM'd Montrezl Harrell and said, you're not gonna win, because this is when he was with the Clippers, right? They said you're not gonna win the Lakers gang, all day. We're gonna win, and you probably gonna sign with us after we beat your ass. and so he screenshot the DMs and posted them on his IG. And so Ball is Live got a hold of it, Hoopview got a hold of it, and Montrezl Harrell blocked this guy because after he posted it, he said, "Hey man, you got to buy me some shoes or something because I was totally right. I called you out." And so Montrezl Harrell, a bunch of people are tagging this guy and hitting him up. So I just thought that was pretty funny news right there.
He DM'd him back, right? He replied.
Yeah,
to him.
Montrezl Harrell DM. They messaged each other. He DM'd Montrezl, called him like a lame, and he was like, "You a lame ass. Lakers ain't winning nothing. We got this." Montrezl Harrell in the DM said he'll never sign with the Lakers. He said he would never sign with the Lakers.
Hey, it just sounds like Montrez just got more smarter. That's how I see it. You know what I'm saying? Like, basically.
Exactly.
Right. So I just thought that was pretty good. Also wanted to talk about I'm a Warriors fan. In case you guys don't know, I'm a Warriors fan, and the Klay Thompson injury definitely hurts.
It sucks.
Man.
You know what I mean? For myself, I tore my Achilles 2 years ago. So
And I tore my ACL last year.
Yeah, and that's
He got both.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. It's funny. He got both of our injuries basically, and
It's crazy.
And I'm able to hoop again now, but it's never the same. You know what I mean? Like I'm hooping in men's leagues and for fun now, but it never feels the same. So I just thought that was
Prayers to Klay Thompson.
definitely prayers for you, Klay, man. That's a tough spot to be in. I can only imagine psychologically what he's going through, right?
Back to back
Exactly.
years.
It's tough.
He's
Kind of like Kevin Durant had, right?
yeah,
Yep.
exactly. But it's like
Come back.
you had a knee injury, you rest and rehab. I'm sure they have him on amazing rehab programs. The NBA usually takes care of their assets pretty good, and then to immediately go to a workout and tear your Achilles, that's just
Kiss of death, back to back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Didn't even get to play.
he's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. And there's a lot of athletes that go through this kind of stuff. And let's not forget, I mean, they got the best, they got the best medical staff.
Yes, of course.
To treat this kind of thing. Any of us will go through this.
Yeah.
The recovery period is probably way longer than,
It took me 3 surgeries to get mine right.
Yeah.
So I know.
Damn.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, I mean, I obviously, NBA, greatest league there is in the world, right? To me, it has changed on the way it used to be. And I'll tell you why. Because when I was young, teams were not in the NBA were not being built to win a championship next year.
Yeah.
They were being built to win a championship in the next 5 or 6 years. So what happens is the crowd identify with the athletes. Now you got players making decisions on contracts and money when it comes to just get that ring. So when the Warriors organization started really surprising everybody,
Yes.
I jumped wagon on that. So, but he kids about me and the San Antonio Sports and whatever, but I really don't have a team that I really truly follow. Here's a team that I follow. I follow the team that may have 1 or 2 superstars. They share the ball, and they play together to the highest level they can. And I'm hoping that team will stay together the following year.
Yes.
When the Golden State Warriors started coming out the way they are now, I mean, before Kevin Durant.
Yeah. They did it all organically. They did it all organically.
They didn't have
The draft.
the horses that they had in the previous years.
Yes.
Right? And so you saw this kid, 6'2", shooting from everywhere.
Yeah.
And you saw his partner,
Clay.
Thompson, just shoot.
6'8", 6'9",
and then you
shooter.
start identifying with that.
Yeah.
And you see a level of play, people doing roles that didn't have to do with scoring, but rebounding,
Yes.
leadership.
Yep.
You start seeing a style of coaching that the players really had no other source just to believe on that coach. It kind of looked like a college team.
Yes.
That kind of atmosphere, right?
Absolutely.
So when I fought the Golden State Warriors and I wanted them to beat everybody just because of that.
Yes.
Then they get Kevin Durant. Then they get this. Then they get that. Then they get this, and eventually became everybody's boat to jump in to get the ring. This last season, I was a big fan of the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
And the Miami Heat didn't really have
They have
too many
Butler,
players. I
but
mean, they had 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But you saw how they were performing, and you go like, wow, this is great. And in the final game, I was just hoping they would make an offset. So I follow the teams that create offsets, the Kings. Other than I personally believe that you have a better, hopefully we got it already, but they should have a better, administrational staff when it comes down to selecting players.
Yes.
Players now go to the Kings just because they want to. It's a step process to something else.
Yes.
Yeah.
So teams need leadership, and there is no leadership in the organization for a long time.
Yes.
And whether that leadership is crazy or not, as long as that person is able to put 12 athletes together and achieve a mission, that's the way it's supposed to do it. So Brooks, being that person, will be a perfect person to do that. Then that will follow me on me saying, I'll pay $200 to go see him.
Nice.
So that's what comes down to it. But just me going through the process of watching them see 3 athletes that potentially going to end up being the stars of the Houston Rockets or something else when they playing the Kings. I want the Kings to be when the Kings were the Kings and they went to the playoffs and the Lakers upset them. They had leadership.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys, they built a team
Yes.
that took over 3 or 4 years to
Yes.
get to it. Now it's like everybody is just okay. Well, you know what? I could be playing for this team, but I'm just going to go win a championship before I retire, so let's all hop on this one. And the fact that the NBA is allowing that to happen,
It's a lot of ring chasing.
it's making it difficult for fans to really get, the Lakers are always going to be the Lakers. Celtics are always going to be the Celtics. But the other organizations need to actually be able to have a fair chance of being able to have those athletes. I think something's got to be done with the commissioner or the league, perhaps, to have a little more of a stoppage at this issue of going into teams just to win championships. Because, you'll win the championship. And you know what? The final becomes boring.
Yeah.
I mean, and, we're fans here.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah,
So, I mean, honestly, the Miami Heat final, I was hoping for a great.
Yeah, of
Boring.
course.
There's no way they could have. But look at the horses you had with the Lakers.
Yeah.
So you want a final where
Where it's
when
competitive.
the Detroit Pistons used to play the Chicago Bulls, and Chicago Bulls only had one guy and have 5 guys that became stars later. When you had the Lakers with Magic Johnson, and you had then the Celtics with Larry Bird.
Yes.
And you going, and it was an even thing, and it's a rivalry, and it was, that's the kind of basketball in the NBA that I kind of miss. Everything is so business oriented now, and it's about to get a ring.
True.
I wish teams like the Kings can land athletes that we can identify for the next 4 or 5 years and have them reach a playoff goal. I don't know. That's just my opinion on it.
I know. I mean, you bring up a lot of good points. I mean, other notable trades or whatever, is like the Clippers got Ibaka.
Yeah.
Houston got Cousins, and the last thing we got to talk about this isn't NBA related, but it has to do with a
Nate Robison.
former NBA player, Nate Robison, my man. You got knocked the fuck out yesterday. I mean, that's the best way I could put it, bro. And we were watching Matt Barnes earlier, and a bunch of other NBA guys. Steph Curry had a little dig at you. Look, man, I'm not gonna make no digs at you because I used to box and I love boxing, but bro, I'm gonna tell you what my coach told me, bro. You can play basketball, you can play football, you can play baseball. You can't play boxing. You got to train at that shit, brother. And it didn't look like you did. I could be wrong.
Damn.
I'm just saying, from the outsider with experience watching you fight, it looked like you just thought you could just put some gloves on and
start swinging,
right? And I guess it's worse because you got knocked out by a YouTuber. So
Boxer.
Yeah, but again, that YouTuber has been training for the last, I think he said 36 months or something like that.
He was taking it serious.
Yeah, like he was like, nah, I'm gonna knock your ass out, and the height advantage and the reach advantage. I watched the fight, bro,
Even the
and
strength advantage.
yeah, the memes that coming out with him right now, man, it's so bad. It's you feel for him, like. And
How
do you recover from that?
I don't know.
It's gonna take a minute.
My suggestion, bro.
You gotta pull your kids out of school.
Yeah. Call
Man.
Comcast. Tell them you want to get rid of your internet for the next 6 months, and just let it blow over, man. I mean, you're gonna have to take some L's on the internet. But I commend you for doing it.
He did it.
Respect it, getting the courage to go out, because a lot of people don't understand. It does take a lot of courage to throw those gloves on and get your ass knocked out on national TV. It's just. But the way it happened was just so bad, bro.
Pay-per-view.
Exactly, because okay, in a boxing match, you plan to see someone get knocked out, and that's fine. I mean, there's a way to lose that it still doesn't look so bad, but this one just looks so bad. And it didn't help that you had Snoop commentating, you had Snoop Dogg commentate, high as shit, making jokes. I just want you to understand from Bout That Life podcast, bro. We are with you.
Right. Prayers. Prayers.
And it sucks because it's like, damn, you are a former NBA player, so we have to talk about it in some aspect. But, shout out to you, brother, man. There's a splash for you, Nate Robison, man, because I give you all the respect. So, moving on from that, we do got to talk about COVID-19, because that's just a part of life right now. Yep. Hope that we can get through this. I hope the vaccine comes out and things are good. But the gym across from us called Courtside Basketball was on the news big time with CNN. It reached national news. they were trying to say, well, I shouldn't say try. They said that there was an outbreak, which is, again, shame on you guys because that wasn't the right wording you should guys be using. But they said there was an outbreak at courtside and basically make for those who might not know, the quick version is they tried to make courtside seem like it was starting this huge outbreak of what's giving COVID-19 and spreading COVID-19, even though that's not necessarily the case. That's not the whole story. Not discussing the protocols they do, also not discussing the teams that came out. Just wonder your guys' thoughts on all this, with this, because again, COVID-19 is just a part of life, but it's more, should courtside cancel? I still don't think they should. I think you just have me personally, I think you have a group of people who are afraid to come out and want to shut everything down, and they have that right. I'm not taking away that right. Like, you absolutely should have that decision. You have another group of people who are maybe too extreme where they're like, I don't want to walk around with a mask. I don't care about anything. Everything's fine. Blah, blah, blah. Like living in this fantasy world, like COVID is a hoax, right? Which is bullshit too. And then I think you just have a lot. The biggest group is the in-between people. Some who are kind of just want to do things the right way, but still want kids to hoop. I'm sure, like you, Coach, you want to see your girls play and you want to see your kids hoop. I want to see my kids hoop and play, but I'm going to acknowledge that there is this, pandemic going on. So, just was curious about your guys' thoughts on that.
Anything you want to say about that?
I think ultimately, I feel like they should open sports. Like CIF got pushed back for football, everything.
Everything shut down.
I think they should open sports. Like, they should have protocols, though.
Yeah.
Definitely protocols. They shouldn't just open it full blown. Everybody just go out and do this. Nah, like, I understand there's teams that are going to take hits from protocols and stuff like that. Like, maybe football practicing 3 days a week, like that's going to affect the team.
Absolutely.
But if the kids want to get out there and get film and, get stats that they need, then I think it should be open.
Okay.
But I definitely don't think it should be rushed. I think there's better ways to go about it than just throwing everything open or just shutting everything down.
What about you, Coach?
All right. So I'm gonna give everybody that's listening to this scientific facts. And I can back him up because I work in the pharmaceutical industry. So that's my real love. That's my true job.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, for anybody that is listening to this and actually thinks that there is no COVID-19, I highly suggest you educate yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is a COVID-19, period. The same way there has been previous COVID-19s and bacterials that have come in, somehow generated through different things in the world that eventually have gotten to a point where we have been able to, find a cure for it. This is very similar to when AIDS came out, and people were very confused.
Yeah.
What was happening? You have the gay population thinking that was the one that did it. You got athletes coming out with it. People didn't know where to go. So scientifically, there is going to be obviously a solution for this. Whatever is going to come in now, right away, or is going to come in later, there's going to be immunization for it. And people are going to get it in stages, and that will all depend on our government to how they want to distribute that. The problem that happens is, and I'm gonna take a step back and look at it from someone from another country. Okay.
Okay.
In the since March, when this first really got announced, and the state of it got announced in February, but March really started people taking action to this. I really, really understood that there is not a word called United States of America. You have states that are in a land called America, which is actually North America, because America is a continent, for those of you guys listening. Okay? And the word united disappeared. The same way we're talking about the Kings having leadership, the same way we're talking about the Kings and the NBA and teams having some type of leader leadership brings you direction. What we lost was direction. We had no direction.
Yeah.
That's reality. Okay? Whatever you are Democrat or Republican, you had no direction. We didn't know how to go about this. Here in California, and I'm speaking now from the point that I had a chance through Marcus learn how other states are coping with this thing. Marcus was told that his high school season was completely canceled. He could probably have a good chance to win state this year. And basically, that was it. So he was lucky enough to get selected into a program that continued to allow him to compete.
Yeah.
So we had a chance to do that at places like Alabama, Texas, Florida.
Florida, yeah, I was gonna say
Okay.
Florida's got to be.
So we from California going into these places and seeing how they're running track and field meets, national ones, how they're running AAU all-in-one facility tournaments. What I did notice is that other states have chosen to have a plan. We did not have a plan. What we did is we postponed and keep postponing and keep moving and keep canceling.
Yeah.
Texas, for example, he's high jumping against a guy that's his same age group, actually a little younger. He's 6'9", and the guy is an amazing high jumper, and he also plays high school for his high school team. He go, Marcus, I got to stop high jumping now because I got to report to my high school practices. Okay. So COVID-19 will be like this in 1 week, or be like that the next week, and it's going to be like this for a while. Okay. And they're going to say, okay, how are we going to conduct that practice? So if COVID-19 has so many numbers, we're going to conduct a practice this way.
Yeah.
If COVID-19 has this many numbers, then we're going to have the game this way. But the game and the practice is not going to be postponed.
Right.
Here in California, we have an issue, and the issue is that the schools are not listening to the athletes or the students. The schools are really worried about a huge word that is not being talked about anything in the news, which is called liability. And so the schools' main concern is making sure that they're not liable for something that could happen, because now everybody's too happy. You know that.
Yes.
And everybody, and the school district is the easiest thing you can sue,
Especially in California.
especially in California.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is that the school, there's no way in hell that school is going to allow anything happening that they could potentially feel and think is going to affect a potential lawsuit. In other states, you don't have that issue. Let's also touch on a couple, in a very important factor here. School districts are schools. Harwood Palace is a business. All-in-one track and field facility in Alabama is a business. So those people are in a business scenario where you can have your own protocol. It's like Courtside or Harwood Palace. You follow that protocol, and now you're avoiding a lawsuit. But in the schools, you don't have that. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will tell you that I think what this state of California has done is that in the same way they are proactively trying to prevent this from getting any worse. And I think they've done a good job in regards to doing that in comparison to other states. They have not had a plan to have a balance. And here's what people don't get. The pharmaceutical company that I work for manufactures drugs for what's called atypical antipsychotics. These are drugs that are set up for people that have symptoms such as bipolar depression, schizophrenia, and so on.
Wow.
The real wave that people are not talking about and not seeing coming is the behavioral health wave. Children and kids, athletes, are going to be, if not by now, heavily affected behaviorally on the way they're going to be able to socialize and conduct through life by not being able to have avenues that they usually are used to, perhaps to bring structure. When you take the structure and you take that stuff away, Now you're saying, okay, now on top of that, I want you to open this laptop and do this and listen to me in the classroom. You're taking away the opportunity for these kids to be able to have the only opportunity to move.
Yeah.
Not everybody plays for West Coast Impact. Not everybody plays for YBA.
Yeah.
Not everybody. So they don't have that privilege. So they don't have that. They need to have that. I think, from what I understand today, the CIF and a whole bunch of administrators as well as students went to the Capitol to protest about this, because to this day there is no guidance by the governor of this state to let know, is there going to be a season, not a season, or what's going on. Imagine, I got girls in my program. I mean, you got boys and girls in your program. They're kind of wondering, what are we going to have a season?
Yeah, that's what
like,
they're
how
all
is it
wondering.
possible that till this day, Texas, Louisiana, Colorado, Utah, Florida, New York,
Yeah.
Massachusetts, Atlanta, that I know for a fact have a plan. So we're going to have the game, but it's going to be like this. We're going to have the season. It's going to be like that. No parents allowed. Whatever is needed, but the kid is benefiting for participating. I think that's what's happening here. I wish there would be a balance in regards to the core side and hardwood pallets and so on. Look, reality is this. As long as if everyone is following the right protocol that these facilities are asking you to do, you're really going to prevent a lot of this stuff from happening.
Yes.
The problem is you have some people that just to make a statement, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to disclose the political side that I'm in. I'm from Puerto Rico, so what the heck? If I'm from Puerto Rico, I can't even vote. So it doesn't matter. So, but what I'm telling you from what I see it from the other countries, how they're literally laughing about us right now.
Yeah. Of course.
They're basically saying, why is it that just for you to cooperate with the situation, have your kid play a game of basketball with referees in a competitive level, why can't you just wear a mask? If you're wearing a mask, you're cooperating with the county. You're cooperating with the state. You're making an effort to provide a venue with control.
Yes.
And safety. So, I also have gone to facilities where the director have told me that facility, well, I'm afraid to tell that parent to put the mask on. So it kind of goes both ways on it. Why? Because that person probably paid $10 in the gate, and I don't know, who cares?
Whatever.
But the fact of the matter is, at this time and place, if I go to a fast food place and I want to get me a burger, I better have a mask on.
Exactly.
Otherwise, they're going to get me out of there, right?
That's life.
So that's life. People got to understand that. So I just wish it's a balance. I wish a balance would arrive, a balance where the girls from West Coast Impact or YBA could be able to know that starting on February 22nd, there's going to be tryouts. When those tryouts happen, you're going to have a 27-game season in which if COVID-19 happens to be very escalated, no parents are going to be allowed.
Okay.
If COVID-19 is really down, we might allow 2 or 3 parents per
kid.
Also, we may potentially stream some of these games for people. So, but the kid is moving. The kid is putting stats to potentially get recruited. The kid is participating on their senior year. Right now, you're asking with the COVID-19 thing, here's another thing that can be ignored. Survival of the fittest. You look at the NCAA. What are they doing? They're waiving everybody. They're giving everybody a brand new season, no matter what you do. All those guys that were catching passes from Alabama and Oregon and playing football right now, those kids are coming back next year. So you have now all the sports, basketball, they're being waived.
Yep.
No matter what you play, you're going to get a year back.
Yep.
Okay, but what is that doing for the high school kids? The kids can't get a year back at Whitney.
Yeah, no.
They can't get a year back anywhere else. So it seems like everybody is ignoring what potentially is going to cause, in my opinion, a bigger problem, which is going to be a whole bunch of young kids that have the ability to play at the next level or not, coming back with some serious behavioral problems that this country, I don't personally feel, are capable or either ready to tackle. So we can't ignore that.
Yeah.
We cannot ignore that.
No.
And so I really applaud people like yourself and Ken G. I even applaud myself, GGT, everybody out there, because in reality, you really think about it. I mean, I have no kids in the program. I'm risking my life every single day to make sure these kids are getting at least a chance to play and be active, you know. And I just wish that the state of California would look at that and say, you know what, we should take a little bit more of leadership and guidance and assume a little bit of responsibility. If you're not going to allow the kids to play at Whitney, allow a club to be able to use your facilities, since everybody's, you know, distancing.
Yeah.
Nobody's at the school. Let that club pay your fee, but allow that student body to participate through that club. And you don't have the liability in it. Yep. Again, it's just, there's so many solutions that could happen. But I think at the end, my dad being an attorney, I will tell you, at the end is the legal department what actually runs the school districts.
Makes sense.
So.
Well, then, no, that's great points that you added. Also wanted to do a couple quick shout outs real quick too. Wanted to give my 8th grade team a shout out that they're at the EBC camp in Anaheim this weekend. So, you know, shout out to you guys and EBC for putting that on, because that might be one of the only big basketball camps, you know, going on into 2021. I mean, granted, 2021 isn't super far away, but again, we don't know what's going to happen. So, Jamie, if you get this, especially because I know you're directing it, you know, a phenomenal job having that go on locally. Also wanted to give a shout out to William Jessup girls, because they just played. William Jessup boys played Fresno State, but they got smacked. So sorry, I can't talk about it.
My son goes to Fresno State. So.
Exactly. They killed them. But William Jessup's, in case some of you guys don't know, listen, William Jessup University is right down the street from my location, and I actually know Coach Tet, who was on our show on episode 2, is the assistant girls coach there. So definitely they had a great game yesterday. They played against University of Nevada, and they only lost by 1. It was 66-65, and they're kind of on a trip playing a bunch of D1s. Aycee Willis, who's a girl I've trained here at my program. She wasn't a YBA girl, but I've trained her a few times. She led with 15 points. Yes. You know, from what I heard and saw from the highlights, it was a really competitive game. So shout out to William Jessup girls, definitely, especially because they're right down the street. So, you know, and then some of them work here or been here and been a part of the clubs here. So, you know, phenomenal job for you guys. Our topic for respectfully disrespectful, wanted to talk about that one before we lead out from the show. Something I would think you've probably seen and experienced yourself. Was it last weekend? It was either last weekend or 2 weeks ago. West Coast Elite, which I'm sure you've heard of. You know, they're like the biggest program out of all of us. Did a basketball camp down in Phoenix, and they had the guy Chet, who's the #1 high school recruit, and Imani Bates. One of your boys was there.
Jaden Alexander. Shout out to Jaden.
Yeah, they were there. My boys went there. I have a really good 17 and 16U group. Some of my 16U boys were invited to that the Elite 100 camp. That's what it's called, the Elite 100. But then they did this is the point where I wanted to talk about respectfully disrespectful, because, again, on my show, I like to be real about AAU basketball and some of the bullshit that goes on. And this is something I've seen plenty of times, and I would assume you have as well. So they did their top 20, top 40, top 60. Out of those top 60, only 2 kids were not West Coast Elite kids. Only 2. So 58 kids out of their Elite 100 camp all happen to be West Coast Elite kids. None of my 16 kids, and you've seen my 16 kids like Jay and them play. Yeah. None of them made the top 60. And I wanted to talk about that kind of bullshit because I've experienced it and seen it firsthand. I brought my kids to a Cali Hoops camp, and the guy that runs Cali Hoops, that's one of the media sites, and one of the coaches there, Bracey, was there, and he saw it, and he even acknowledged it was some bullshit going on, because they had a top 20, and like Anthony, who's at Prolific Prep, my nephew, he plays for Prolific Prep, their AAU program, right? Cool. He didn't make their top 20.
No, for real?
Yeah, he didn't make their top. The kid that went for Prolific Prep, but they had an 8th grader. They had like an 8th grader that made their damn camp, made their top 20, but because of the guy that was helping to run the Cali Hoops thing is Demo. I don't remember his name, but he calls himself Coach Demo. These were his guys that made this. And so but keep in mind, I brought 23 kids to their camp.
Damn.
And more than any other coach there. Exactly. And only 4 of my guys made it. And my kid who now plays for Prolific Prep, AAU program, my nephew, who's 6'7", athletic, whatever, didn't make their top 20. So I just wanted to kind of talk about that kind of bullshit if you've seen it with these
I want to elaborate
camps.
on that so much. I'm so glad you bring that up. I got a message to all the parents that are listening to this. Actually, I will extend this message to all the kids that might be listening to this for AU. That specific crap is what causes a distrust on the AAU circuit.
Yes.
Let me just tell you, first of all, I think everybody should get educated in here. AAU is not a government body. Let's get that right from the bat. Legally, they're not a government body. AAU is an organization, nonprofit, by the way, that is able to provide avenues and venues to kids to play at whatever level they choose to play. We can call it elite, mid, low level. It is a great thing that I wish when I was a young kid I had. There was no AAU called BD basketball. Tried something like that, but it didn't work that way. Okay. I get tons of emails coming in from my parents when I did the Wildcats, even parents of other clubs that know some of my parents, about this ranking stuff. Okay. So first of all, there is no ranking.
Exactly.
Ranking of what? Okay. You're not a government body. Second of all, let's be a little bit smarter. Parents, a little bit smarter here. How many thousands and thousands of kids are playing basketball in this country from the East Coast to the West Coast for you to think that you actually have the best 8th grader in the country?
I love hearing that.
Oh,
He's the
best
number 1 7th grader. He's the number 1 6th grader in the country. I said, how did you vote that?
I mean,
How?
I think parents is a combination of they want to be on that kid's. They want to make sure that kid achieved the dreams they didn't have. And so for that, they're so gullible. They fall into that. And it's same thing. We in AAU are the ones that got ourselves in that predicament by providing those venues and lying to people, in other words. Okay. So when I see tournaments and I see, we got the top 25 in the West Coast participating in here. Wait a minute. What are you talking about? Who made you a ranking body to say you're in the top 25? I go to the extent on this. And I'm not going to mention names. And
You're better than me.
Because I'm not going to mention names because it's actually to the point that actually the NCAA have actually applied some of these methods to make money. And that's what gets me upset. First of all, you got now people saying, okay, we would like to invite you to top 20 or 30 or 100 elite camp. Okay. I don't know. When you played, when I played, if somebody recognizes, man, the top 100, here's your airfare, here's your gear, let's show up.
Yeah.
True that.
Okay? If you weren't lucky enough to be selected into that, sorry. Try
work,
next time.
Exactly. Work your ass harder.
Why are these so-called elite camps are costing the elite players money? That's the first question. Parents out there, listen, please open your ears. Second thing is, since when are we now people that can say, I am going to be a scout for NCAA teams? Okay, let's get this straight. You might scout for baseball teams in the NFL. You have scouts for the NBA. They might send their folks to Europe and scout some players, and you see them on the draft.
Yes.
Since when a 4-year coach has any budget to go ahead and say, Bobby, I want you to be the scout and tell me whatever you see on that player is what I'm going to get in my program anyway. So I'm going to pay you to do that all over the country. And I see so many, come to the showcase scouting. We have free scouting and top scouting in the country. And parents believe that. So then I put these scouts on the spot when they invite my girls. I say, okay, so you're a scout for who?
Right.
Oh, no. Well, I'm a scout for, my word. Your word? Where do you play? Your word? Where do you coach?
Exactly.
Oh, but here's what happens, coach. Okay, so and respectfully, I want them to teach me what their business model is. Parents, listen to what the business model is. You're going to go ahead and pay money. You're going to go play up and down with some jerseys that say whatever with a 113 in the back.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You're going to get film. You're going to pay probably $150. $50 out of that is going to go to where you own highlight reel, which, by the way, the people that made the highlight reel, sometimes very few know. The other ones, I see highlight reels. They're not even putting a highlight reel together for you to get scouted the right way. They don't put any defense. They don't put any rebounds.
Just
all they
all
do
your-
is check and bakes.
all your buckets.
And dunks. and then on top of that,
Highlight reel I need.
and then on top of that, they go ahead and say, well, the college coach is going to pay me $300 to access that person's profile. And I want to, please, parents, don't be gullible. Understand this. Right now with COVID-19 and the budget and money,
Yeah.
what makes you think that a regular D1, low D1, NAIA, Division II has got money to go ahead and pay people several times $400 to access a website to see a person? It is absolutely mind-blowing when I get parents asking me, is this okay? I educate. If you're a good director of a AAU program, please educate your parents on what not to fall for.
Yes.
Because that brings so much credibility to your program.
Yes.
You might not have the best athletes, but they know that you are staying with someone that got the best interest for you. Nobody just wants to make money out of you.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, it is amazing when you mention that, because I hear that story and I've seen
all
it
the time.
so many times.
All the
And
time.
guess, in people, Joe Keller, I will remind everybody, go on
No
Google.
names.
You know I know him. You know I know Joe.
Just we go way back.
The Phenom kid.
Go on Google, Joe Keller, and go ahead and Google his book. I'm glad that he came out with that. I'm glad that book was written.
Yep.
I understand Joe Keller's mindset in business. There's nothing wrong with it. What he was trying to do was something different. But the way how he was done was something that you get educated and understand. There are clubs out there that are not doing such things.
Yes.
There are clubs out there that are not sending kids and paying them $300. I'll finish with this one. I had a university coach just call me last week. I'm not going to mention name, neither university. This person sends me a letter. The letter says, hey, Coach, help me with this COVID-19 situation. I go like, okay. I'm reading. It's been very difficult for us to recruit. Got you. I understand that. For that reason, I am actually would like to invite some of your players to come in to a specific camp that I'm putting together just for my school to be able to recruit athletes. I go, wow, well, what an amazing idea that is.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that person's coming outside the box.
Right.
Okay? So I decided to call. Before I called, I got a message from 3 of my players that received the same letter that actually were literally copy and paste, but just changed the first name from coach to name of the athlete and saying, I want you to come over here because I really,
See
okay.
that so much.
Then you click on it and you say it's $250. So I go, okay, great. Okay, I got you, because a lot of now these days it's not easy for low-level schools, 4-year schools to make budget and money. So
Yes.
sometimes they want to be able to bring the athletes and make a little money out of that, better than not having a program at all. So
Yeah.
I respect that sometimes. But then what's interesting is when I called that coach and I said, okay, so talk to me about the players on my roster. She could mention one. So I'm going like, you couldn't mention one. Meanwhile, I had in my other phone 3 letters that went from this person to my athletes addressed personally to their name. So parents and kids, if you're listening out there, truly understand that if you are paying for something for you to somehow get recruited, understand that you're going to be going in with many other kids doing the same. Understand that somebody's making money out of it. That's the purpose of it.
Yeah.
And understand and be realistic to yourself, knowing that you may go there, but you may never get a call back. Because reality is what is called in the AAU world a catacall.
Yeah. And
so it gets me very upset when I see kids' dreams put into, the kids don't know any better, so they go, oh, I'm going to recruit it. I'm going to go to the top 200 in Arizona.
Yeah.
I mean, what the heck? Okay, so the question that I have is that organization, what are they and who are they to say that they are having the top 100 athletes according to them?
Yes.
Are they ESPN? Nope. Are they ESPN 7, 6, 5, 4, Hispanic ESPN? No. So who are they for them to actually say that these athletes are the ones that, and then the question is, are true coaches really looking at that? As an assistant coach, I will tell you this. In college, here's what I did. When I got those typical profile things that came in, Bobby, whatever, he's interested in coming to Sonora Community College. I go like, okay, here's also his profile, whatever. And I go like, okay, delete.
Right. That's
Delete.
what I tell. That's what
Delete.
I tell
Delete.
a lot of
Delete.
people.
Athletes need to go ahead. You want to get truly recruited now these days? And for the record, we've been in basketball all over the United States, but Sacramento basketball, it's not like
Yeah, it's not.
top power in the country.
Yeah, he literally recorded me saying that shit to my team. Remember that? I was saying that shit to I said, "You from Sac?" I said, "You're not even from Sac. You're from Rocklin. Nobody's coming to Rocklin looking for talent." I've said that to my kids.
Exactly.
Like,
So-
you have to fight that much harder.
One thing that we do at Impact is I spend with the girls that are in 9th grade going up about 2 or 3 hours with the parents, educating them about the recruiting process, basically with this message. You gotta go get recruited. You can't wait for you to get recruited. And here's the right way of doing that. And if you educate them enough, you bypasses these issues you just went through. Because what gets me upset about it is you have kids that actually pay for airfares. You got kids that went over there having this dream. They're definitely way better than some of those kids that got selected. Yeah. But then a selection of what?
Right.
I mean, let's. What's the name of the organization again?
Which West Coast Elite.
West Coast Elite.
Yeah.
Okay, West Coast Elite. Well, we've seen West Coast Elites through my 18 years, and I've seen many other AAU programs that just like that disappear. I mean, and coming in and coming out, and you only have the same ones always consistently, be the Soldiers and Crumpton, and all those guys. They stayed consistently on that.
Yeah.
But the other ones that go up, Wildcats organization, we used to be a powerhouse. Where are they now?
Right.
So who are we to judge these people? Talk to a coach, let him know what the skill set is, and get it going. Versus spending that. So it makes me very sad to hear what you just said, but it's something that is happening very often.
Absolutely. All right. Well, then I'm gonna go give my last couple shout outs, and then I guess we'll be out of here. Or Mark, you got anything to add to anything? I know you've been listening.
Everything
Yeah, no, you're hearing too.
Every time Joby talks,
you and Marcus are listening to two coaches talk about all this coaching shit. Like, that's basically what you're hearing right now.
Taking notes.
So no, this is the type of dialogue we want. I want to do my last shout outs for Anthony, my nephew. Again, he was in Phoenix this past weekend. He was doing the prep school bubble stuff they've been doing out there. I'm just really proud of him. He's just he's about to. He has his start his junior year at Whitney, so he's been working really
good.
Yeah, right. You saw the highlights. He's working really hard, and I'm just really
Skilled.
proud of him. So I just wanted him to know that. And then just another shout out to Joe. Also, for those who might want to check out, I've been started off this like little documentary series thing on YouTube, showing kind of the process for like what we do in terms of being a director / coach and the many different hats we wear, and kind of trying to show the ins and outs of that. So I've been the guy who's been helping me do it is Joe Baines. He does JB Productions, but definitely just wanted to get you guys, my audience out there, to please check that out. I think you'll get some great insight, especially the parents that I know listen and watch our show a lot. You know, a lot of people. One thing I give like credit to Coach K, right? For instance, he is a very, very good marketer. Like, you know, when he does his interviews and people talk to him on those specials, and say he comes across as this real like calm, quiet guy and just real lovable, like, oh, that's Coach K. But people don't really know that this guy's a fucking asshole when it comes down to it. Like, if you're, I have friends who went to Duke and shit like that, and they've told me, they like, bro, he curses you out just like anybody. So, right, you know what I'm saying? So I give credit if you can kind of market and navigate that field. Because, again, if you see him in interviews and stuff, he looks just like this wholesome family guy. Like, oh, Coach K has to be great. And, again, he's a great coach. There's no knocking on anything he does. But, you know, if parents really want to get a good insight of what real coaching is like, and what I mean by real coaching is, yes, telling you when your kid isn't playing well, sometimes your kid might need to get lit the fuck up because they're not performing at the potential they need to. It's just a little small 8 to 10 minute episodes, but I think it will give you all some good information out there to see kind of what the process is and what we're doing. So with all that being said, I would definitely wanted to thank you guys for being here. This is our longest episode.
Yeah.
I know, this is
a lot of knowledge.
Exactly. No,
knowledge.
and this was great. Like, I'm glad, because a lot of people listen to our episodes little by little. They don't listen to one big thing. But having both you guys here, having a father-son duo was great. Like, that was a good idea, Mark. I appreciate that. But no, I wanted to say thank you guys again for being here, big time. It really is appreciated. I think people see more and more. Me, Mark, and Ty really try to put a lot of effort into the show. If you couldn't tell, like, this is a passion project of mine, because I really want people to get a voice out there, and I think the AAU world just needs a voice. You know what I mean? Because you know, God rest his soul. You know, Kobe Bryant at first initially felt like, screw AAU. I don't like AAU. But then think about how heavily he got invested with his daughter. You know, and how big that was. It shows that this thing can be a really great thing if done properly, right? You know what I mean? So I really appreciate having your guys' perspective. It helps a lot. Mark, you got anything to add?
No, again, just want to say thank you, Marcus. Good luck. Keep working. All right.
Sir,
Team USA, Olympics, Coach Jopi, thank you. Like any girls out there, West Coast Impact is one of the best girls programs, especially in our area. And again, like I said, thank you for being a mentor and everything like that. So,
and again, all the links and stuff for your program will definitely be in the bio. So if people want to check you out and check out all that, we're going to have all that there for you. Again, please hit us up. Feel free to hit us up on social media if you have suggestions for future episodes or anything like that, or just want to voice your opinion. You could tell us we suck. We don't care. I just hey, let me know your opinion, man. That's
haters. Where the haters at?
Exactly. We're fine with that. But no, again, we appreciate anybody who's listening. Hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button. One small click for you helps us big time. And I think that's it, and we're out.
Sir.